So the legend states that 3,500 years ago, at Zenith Mediterranea, the heroes of men rallied against the great Nephilim known as Hellsmite, a formidable being ruling as a god over men. Armed with his wormwood scepter, he fought valiantly against them, but in the end, the heroes prevailed. Over 5,500 years later, Lord Horn and God is ready to proceed with the next step of the Nephilim cloning experiment. Though this time around, they are ensuring to avoid the miscalculations of their last experiment. But the Burning Skull is skeptical of Lord Horn's optimism, wondering how he can be so sure this time. Lord Horn believes that a word from a fellow king will soothe the pride of the Nephilim they are about to resurrect. But before he can finish, the Nephilim test subject gains consciousness and smashes out of the cloning experiment tank, with Hellsmite emerging confused to where he is or who these people around him even are. And Lord Horn explains that he died over 5,000 years ago, but they have resurrected him, with Hellsmite remembering his final battle against the heroes of men, which turns out to be an upgrade of Lord Horn's cloning experiments, since the revived Nephilim now have the memory, versus in the past they did not. But such a resurrection comes at a cost. However, before Lord Horn was able to lay out the terms of the agreement, Hellsmite trips off as he can't find his wormwood scepter, which Lord Horn had no clue about. In his rage, Hellsmite smashes Lord Horn and rushes to escape the god facility, until he discovers the existence of the previous Nephilim experiment done at the god facility, Starstruck. So he comes up with a plan to disguise himself as Starstruck and head out to cause chaos in search of the scepter. Which brings us right to where issue 1 left off, with Hellsmite's battle against Starstruck trying to convince him to join his cause. Hickox steps in an effort to distract Hellsmite so Starstruck could punch him away, giving them time to think, with Starstruck clarifying that the attack on the city was not done by him but Hellsmite. Unfortunately, the rest of the heroes don't know that, and they instantly attack Starstruck as they were given orders to put him down. But Hickox tries to fill them in on everything before they are able to fulfill their orders, but they disregard him and attack him anyways, until a common enemy arrives, Lord Horn's men in Babylon City, ordering everyone to stand down as they are violating the city's ordinances. After Mom, I got sick too. Not the same type of sick, I guess. They didn't really tell me, but I definitely didn't have the same type of doctors. And they definitely didn't make me better. I don't know if they tried, and through all the tests I kept thinking about what my mom said, and wondered if bad guys are just lonely people. Does that make me a bad guy? Throughout the multiverse, the rift caused by Hellsmite is beginning to do serious damage to the realities affected. As Trashman puts it, whatever Hellsmite did with the Wormwood Mace is beginning to degrade the barriers between realities, and where realities collide, matter is being erased from existence. At Clax's lair, Telpori appears with the President of the United States after kidnapping him in the midst of the chaos when the rifts between realities started appearing, with everyone being filled in on what's going on around the world via news reports. But while standing among the heroes, the President draws the conclusion that they aren't normal heroes but crossbreeds, which seem to be part of Tempori's plan. I think I'm butchering that guy's name, Tempori's. It looks like Tempori's. Once they tell him the supposed cause of the anomalies originates from Babylon City, he sanctions them and other crossbreeds they might have at their disposal to go out and stop the anomalies. And they arrive right into the midst of a war zone between the other heroes who confronted Starstruck and Lord Horn's men in Babylon City. But while they assess the situation, trying to figure out which side of the fight they should be fighting for, the Spirit Monk telepathically tells all crossbreeds and heroes to retreat to the address that he placed in their mind. So together, they fight against Lord Horn's men, making their way to the Brimstone Tavern, where everyone rightfully has a lot of questions, with Starstruck demanding from the tavern keeper straight answers. But the only answers they get from him is that his name is Burnt Ember and he knows how to defeat Hellsmite. Elsewhere at the Ebon Temple, Bake Mono and Chikara return to the Spirit Monk with Hellsmite's Wormwood Mace. The Spirit Monk immediately heads to the whirlpool at the Holy Hall of Heroes where Hellsmite took the mace from in the first place, because if it is not returned, all realities can cease to exist. However, before they can return it, they are intercepted by Hellsmite himself, and though the three try to put up a fight, they are no match for Hellsmite, who now has his mace and is ready to initiate the next step of his plan. I'm getting worse, I wish I wasn't alone. I wish someone loved me like my mom, so I don't have to turn into a bad guy. Dad says he loves me, but he's never here. He's paying for all of this, so I guess that's something. I bet people would love me if I was a superhero. Everyone loves superheroes. My mom used to say God loved me, but I don't feel like he does. Maybe he could stop me from being a bad guy. And with that, let's put Biblical Proportions issue 2 on our Christian fiction judgment scale. For the story, this time around, it's a solid 4 out of 5 on our judgment scale. This issue made me quite happy as it cleared up a lot of the confusion I had with the first issue that I was rather vocal about, especially regarding Deus Cruz's interjections into the story. I tried to play into the interjections. Jeez, that come on, the interjections from Deus Cruz and just leave it as chaotic and sporadic as it was in the comic. Because when I covered the first issue, it confused me a lot. But Joe Spicer, the creator of the series, clarified that to me, and Evan David also clarified some of that in my podcast installment of the Catastrophic Initiative podcast with him. And I really like the direction that the series is heading in, especially what they did with Hellsmite turning him, who is turning out to be the formidable foe he was built up to be from the first issue, especially with how they started with his supposed origin as Nephilim from 5,000 years ago. I really like the convergence of all the heroes and their infighting, as well as the dialogue between all of them. It was really well done. I do skip a lot of the dialogue when I do my reviews, because this is just a run through of the story into review. If you want to actually read the dialogue and see things page by page, then pick up the comic for yourself. But this issue definitely was a step up from issue 1 and clarified a lot of the holes that I saw in issue 1. When it comes to artwork and creativity, this issue retains its 5 out of 5 score simply because I love the concept and the artwork was solid too. But mainly for the concept of the continuing idea of what I dub as a Nephilim that is on a mission to destroy the Christian multiverse. This entire comic series is an ambitious title that pulls from different comics made by both Christian and non-Christians on a mission to put a stop to a resurrected Nephilim who's on a mission to destroy the multiverse. I am 100% locked in and have been enjoying the ride so far. But it's funny that with such a concept, when it comes to theological basis, which refers to how well Christian principles are adapted in a piece of fictional work, it's a 0 out of 0. Because I have to admit it for this issue, as when compared to issue 1, there are no real theological aspects in the comic to really assess. Yeah, there's the Deus Cruz last lines, but that's not enough for me to put it on the theological basis scale. However, that's pretty much an Evan David signature move at this point, as he wrote this issue, and as his self-proclaimed #1 fan, he has a solid 5 out of 5 score on this scale when applicable, and I can only imagine what he's going to do with a comic title named Biblical Proportions. But we shall wait to see that in the next issue. When it comes to my enjoyment and how likely I am to recommend it, it's a solid 5 out of 5. It's a solid book that cleaned up the things that left me desiring more from issue 1, and I highly recommend it. So overall, Biblical Proportions issue 2 by Starcross Comics gets a 4.66 out of 5 from the Xplanations. Let me know what you think of the comic based on what was discussed in the comments below. Do you agree with me, or do you have a different take than I do? The Indiegogo link to back the crowdfunding campaign for this issue will be in the description. So if you liked what you heard, then be sure to go and show them some love over on Indiegogo. In a future interview on the Catastrophic Initiative podcast, we will be chatting with the main man himself, Joe Spicer, who created the series, so stay tuned for that in the coming months. Hopefully, that is next month's major podcast episode. If you enjoyed the video, then why not consider leaving a like on it and subscribing for more reviews and coverage of comics made by professing believers. If you enjoyed the video to the point you want to check out another one on the channel, then be sure to click the card at the top right hand corner of your screen to check out our other biblical proportion reviews, or check out this video about the antediluvian warrior who actually fought against Hellsmite, being hired by a family to be a bodyguard for their daughter who is on the run from a Nephilim who wants to sacrifice their child to the gods for favor.